something. I can't remember. I can never remember the chronology of records. I don't know, people, you know, when people say, "What was your first memory?" I was like, how do you know that one was before that one? It's just I don't know people's brain. It's a more organised mind than mine that can do that. It would have been something terrible like in Brothers in Arms or something.
Which is almost extraordinary because you may not know, but Simon has a degree in pure maths.
I do.
So the idea of logic and what comes first.
Yeah, no, I know. No, my mind is very haphazard. So yeah.
So tell me what started you songwriting?
So I was recording songs, and I have the kind of the cassette tapes to show it. As young as like 5 and 6, you know, kind of like you do play and record on the little kind of like,
yes,
even like the ones you used to get with like a ZX Spectrum kind of thing, where you kind of like you'd load a game and you plug those things in the side. So I was kind of recording songs on there as a kid, like just made up like nonsense before.
With an instrument?
No, with no instrument,
voice?
Just pure voice. And then my mum bought me a guitar when I was about 9 or 10, and then I started to kind of play kind of, you know, songs from like songbooks and stuff, so like Paul Simon and all that carry on, and then probably didn't really start writing my own songs until I was much later in like kind of 14, 15 and stuff. So it always fascinated me. It was always a vehicle for me to sing and play, I guess, but it was never something that I was never driven by kind of the ego behind it was never, you know, I was, even actually as I started to do it as a job, I was never particularly driven by the attention. In fact, it was something that I found difficult. So here he is sat on a fucking sofa talking about himself.
Then you say you had a Paul Simon songbook. If I'm correct, I would say that the majority of Paul Simon songs are quite complicated as guitar
they
to
are
learn.
actually,
If you're young and that's your first songbook.
I think it was like the Boxer.
Right.
There was a series of books called the Complete Guitar Player Songbook, and they went through like they started in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then ended, you know, with Daniel, Elton John, and it was all kind of like songwritery stuff. So I kind of worked my way through those, which actually in retrospect was a good kind of like grounding for kind of like understanding how the functionality of a song works. You know, that a G goes with an E minor and a C and a D, and kind of like getting to grips with kind of how long the verse should be, how do you get to a chorus, all these kinds of things, without particularly thinking about it, but it almost becomes like habit, doesn't it? So doing all that, and then I remember I found like a Lemonheads B-side once that no one had ever heard, and I learned on the guitar. I remember someone said to me, "Did you write that?" I was like, yeah. Fuck it. And it felt good that they were impressed, so I thought, shit, I better start writing some songs. So
you should grow that into an idea about the Beatles. You know? Yeah. There's a film in that, isn't
Absolutely. There? Yeah, there is. So
tell me, this is a larger question really, but do you regard songwriting as a craft?
I mean, I struggle taking myself seriously, to be honest. But it's so accidental, though, isn't it? It's like kind of making a table, or kind of like building a water feature or whatever. There's some science to it, and you definitely get better at it.
What's the science of songwriting then?
It should stop and end with how it makes you feel. That's the key to it. That's as far as I think you should. I always used to think in a studio when I was getting too involved with the nuts and bolts of the song and not quite working out whether something was right or wrong and trying to find reasons, or maybe there shouldn't be drums in it, or maybe it shouldn't be this. The one thing, the big test is kind of like, how does it make you feel? Does it make you feel something, first off, and does it kind of like create? With obviously there's an essence to a song, or there's kind of some kind of purpose to the lyric. So is it appropriate? Does it make you feel sad? Does it make you feel happy? Does it make you feel something? And that's kind of the one thing that that's the one test that I apply. So that's as scientific as it gets. I mean, unfortunately, there is a science to songwriting. Not unfortunately, but there are patterns to songwriting you just have to listen to the radio. It's like kind of, you know, there's like a verse, a chorus, a kind of, it's all quite formulaic, as much as we like to think of it as being magical. We're talking about like the brill building and stuff. It is quite workmanlike the way you write a song. So I'm not pulling, you know, magic from the air. There are tried and tested formulas for writing a good song, you know. But a great song, there is still an element of magic that you're not quite sure how it got in, how it became a thing. It's just like it arrives and you're not quite sure. And I like that bit. I like the bit that can't be explained.
And when you're in the act of writing, are you consciously aware of what part of a song you're developing or going through? So you could be in a verse, and you know you're looking for a chorus, or now I need a middle section. Are you that? Is it that thought through?
No, I mean, no, unfortunately, well, again, I say unfortunately, but when I'm writing songs, now I write songs with other people, I have to be more conscious of it, partly because you don't want to look as though you're bullshitting your way through it. Mm-hmm. So you think, well, shit, I've got to have a system. So then you start thinking, right, okay, you start kind of like theorizing how it should be. But when I do it on my own, it just happens accidentally. It finds its way. It's kind of like taking a journey like without kind of like having a map as such. So I don't really like a lot of pop songwriters write the chorus first. They go straight in on the chorus and then they pan back from the chorus. I've never been able to do that. I always have to kind of start at the beginning of the story, really.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's been very few occasions I can remember where I've started with a chorus. I can't really remember. So I kind of have to get myself into the frame of mind of what the song's about and then watch it kind of like unfold. But it all happens pretty accidentally. But when I'm writing with other people, I have to be a bit more...
So with your own songs, the way that a listener hears the song would be the same linear journey?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. So that's generally how I've done it.
So tell me, how do you develop melody?
Oh. Wow. In terms of yeah, I mean, they're just sounds in the room, aren't they? It's just like, it's kind of, I become a kid when I start kind of making melodies. Again, it kind of puts me in a place. It's otherworldly. It kind of feels like you're drifting off into kind of like, into space, I think. And you kind of, and they just twist and turn. It's just like kind of, I don't know, it's all very weird and kind of magical, but I kind of just disappear into myself.
Okay, so to clarify, when you're developing a melody, because what I want to do is take Simon through the different themes of songwriting.
Right. Okay.
So with melody writing, so do you develop a melody line? Without an instrument? No. Always have an instrument. Yeah, so I get a bit of a vibe going on. I hate that word, but sorry. I get a feel of a mood of something. With a guitar and some chords, and then I start kind of making sounds and noises. If it's a good day, I've got a lyric too, and more often than not now, I just kind of write lyrics down because I find a song often is just a vehicle for getting primarily one or two lines. And do you so why you're making sounds melodic sounds, in the hope that within that melody there's something a word catches or a phrase. So you wouldn't independently develop a melody line without words being involved. I think my best songs have started from the lyric first, probably. I've written down the lyric, and I've been like, there's been a real intent of kind of like, for instance, like People Other People or whatever, that lyrically was all kind of done before the melody was put to it. Right. So it was just a way of getting the kind of chemistry between the melody and the lyric to give it the greatest weight and make it as solid as possible. So it all kind of like coerces, but more often than not, I'm just kind of like mumbling to myself, like watching, some shit on TV with a guitar harmony. It's all very kind of ordinary, really. But
occasionally there'll just be moments that you've kind of, it's like, I guess like fishing, isn't it? You just kind of like sat there with your rod in the water, and it's kind of, something happens, you go, oh God, there's something in that, something unique about that little pattern that just happened there. And then you hope, and then sometimes you kind of, it catches fire, and you're like, shit, I'm onto something now, and it gets really exciting, and you're like nervous because you think, fuck, this is something, and then it just goes and it dissipates, and you're just like, oh, where's it gone? And it's like, and then sometimes you manage to keep it, you keep the metaphor alive, that you keep the fish on the line.
Yes.
And then, you reel it in, and it's there, and you've got it, and it's a good day.
I don't know if you'll understand what I mean by this, but do you ever physicalize a melody line? For example, once you have a melody, would you pick out the exact notes of that melody on the guitar or on a keyboard so you know precisely what a melody is doing?
Yeah, not consciously, but I definitely play it. But I don't normally. I try and keep it as non-physical as possible. Really, I like to not know what's going on.